right, here we go on a Thursday. It's Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Drew Nixon, and Cody Tapp back in studio. How was celebrating?
God, for one day.
I told you were celebrating Taylor Swift's birthday, right? That's how was the big birthday bash?
I honor big birthdays.
Yeah.
It was great.
Uh-huh.
We made Era's cake. A slice for each era.
I figured you were at home and you spent the $19.99 on Amazon Prime to watch the Eras tour and rent that because you only have 48 hours to watch it once you buy it or whatever. I figured that's what you did during the day yesterday, that you were watching her concert, which is now available on Amazon.
No, I will eventually. My daughter's been asking to watch it a lot, so I assume at some point, probably at Christmas break time, it'll hit the old television screen, but not yesterday. I instead, I went to my son's Christmas concert, as I said. Then I did the stocking purchasing I needed to do for my wife's stocking. Picked up a few more things for the kids' stockings. And then showed up to the company Christmas party. So we can talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, we will. You were there at the party. That is true. That happened. Drew was there as well. The gifts for our gift exchange all arrived yesterday. I just need to wrap them, and we'll be good to go. So tomorrow,
I gotta remember to bring that in.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I need to wrap them, but they both came in. At least they delivered them properly for that because I had a different Amazon package though that showed up the day before. Like they take the photo of like here's proof that we delivered it. Yeah, the problem was they took the photo as clearly my apartment complex, but not my apartment, and I have not been able to find the other item that I ordered that was not for our show, and so I have to wait till 4 this afternoon to actually file a report saying like through
That's
Amazon,
not my apartment.
basically being like, yeah, I never got it. So that sucked, but not your gifts did arrive.
You need better neighbors, man. Somebody's got to.
Right. That's what I was waiting for.
They're not porch pirating. It's not.
No.
They're not as destitute as that group, but they could just return.
I saw the photos clearly in my complex, so I even looked around like my building in particular, like because I saw the photo and they put it in the bushes next to someone else's front door. So the person was just forgot or being lazy or whatever, and so somebody has it. They never bought it to me, so I got to file a thing. It's like a humidifier. It's not like some. It literally was. I ordered a humidifier. Okay?
God, that is the oldest man thing.
I needed it, dude. I've had a cold. I've had a cold this week, and it's just dry air, like the wintertime, right?
Sure.
So I'm like, let me give it a try. I haven't had one in years. I'm like, let me give it a little try. And it's like a $50 one, okay? And so I was upset because I was supposed to be here 2 nights ago. And I was planning.
And now you're still struggling.
Yeah,
that's tough.
It's just the
that
wintertime.
Same thing just happened to my in-laws, but their neighbors brought them the box.
Good
the
neighbors.
Amazon person switched them.
They gave
them their boxes to them, and vice versa.
I've had people. Everybody's had somebody else's mail come to their house or whatever, and you just if it's nearby, you just drop it off to their front door.
If it looks like an unimportant piece of mail, like if it's for like the old person at the house, just throw it away. What do I care? If it looks like junk mail, I'll just get rid of it.
Well, if it actually is junk, but
like
it's
if it looks
mail.
like junk mail, I just get rid of it. For the old people, not if it's a neighbor. If it's a neighbor, I'll go walk into their mailbox. But if it looks like it's for like the person who used to live in my house, like it's addressed to them, and it looks like junk mail, straight to the trash.
Okay.
I'm not bothering putting return to sender on every piece of mail that comes.
I thought you were saying that like if it's not your mail, you just throw it away. I'm like, that's terrible.
No,
okay,
no.
I
wouldn't go that far.
I was like, damn. Okay.
No, if it's a neighbor's
Cody's
mail,
out here. He's
flyers. I'm like, those are going to the garbage.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah,
you're wasting money if you're trying to get this kid to go to college at that address.
I keep getting a letter from a dentist office that was from someone that lived at my apartment before I did, and it's a dentist office. And it's been coming. I probably get 3 of them every couple months.
I see ones that are like your 401k statements inside. I put return to address on those. Anything else, gone. I guess I could look up how much they've got saved up in their retirement. I won't do that.
Anyway, coming up in about 40 minutes, Danon Hughes, former Chiefs wide receiver, going to join us. We'll get his perspective on the Chiefs heading up to Foxborough. I believe it's his first trip, at least as a broadcaster, up to New England and Foxborough and Gillette Stadium. So we'll get his perspective on that. And the Chiefs, who are now just 7.5-point favorites against New England as the line has come down. And you look at the Patriots, and then you know what the next 3 games after that are. And it's easy to look at and say, oh, well, with the way the team's playing, they're gonna maybe drop one of those. But this was the stretch of when you asked me the question 2 weeks ago, and at that point it was right before the Packers game, and you're like, hey, do you think they're going to win out? And I said, yeah, I thought they would win out. Of course, they've lost to the Packers and Bills. A big reason for that is because of the back 4 games, and it starts with Bailey Zappi at quarterback for New England.
Honestly, 0 excuses if they are to lose any of these next 4 games. And for every Chiefs fan that you and I might battle with a little bit over Don't bury this team. Don't put it at 0% chance they win the 1 seed. Don't think they're going to lose the division or miss the play. Relax. For all the Chiefs fans, I would say to relax about the way this season has gone. If they lose any of these 4 games, I'm going to be probably where you are. As in, this team's going nowhere fast. They'll probably make the postseason, but they're not going to do anything with it. Why would I think that? Like, honest to God, why would I think that if they lose any of these next 4 games? The most difficult game remaining on your schedule is at home against Jake Browning.
That's the one that scares you the most,
fine,
though.
But that's the toughest game remaining on your schedule. Other than that, it is the starter for New England was no good, and they didn't even want to go to the backup there. So that's your road game. Oh, no. The other 2 teams you beat by 14 points each in the previous matchups, and one of those is starting Aiden O'Connell still, who had a good game against you, and the other one, who you beat by 14 when Justin Herbert was starting, is now starting Easton Stick.
Yeah, the only one is Cincinnati. Like that's the one where you're like, okay, if they, Jamar Chase is
like if
healthy,
you want to excuse it away or something.
Well, I don't know about. Yeah, I mean, that one will be trickier than it sounds when I tell you that a backup quarterback is starting for Cincinnati, just because they have healthy receivers, they have healthy running backs, and Jake Browning has shown that he can play some football a little bit. He's not Joe Burrow, but he can play some football. That's the one. But when you're playing Bailey Zappi, yeah, there's no excuse. Although I think this game is closer, and when it was 9.5, I would be taking New England plus 9.5, not Kansas City minus 9.5.
Now that it's 7.5, you're
tease the Chiefs down.
Yeah,
tease the Chiefs down to 1.5 point favorite. That's kind of where I'm at. But I think the Chiefs are going to struggle to score, but I also don't believe the Patriots, who put up 21 points in the first half against Pittsburgh last week, I don't think they have any chance of sniffing 21 points against Kansas City's defense.
They've only scored 20 twice. That's it. More than 20 twice. So for as much as the Chiefs, they can't even score 20 themselves. Okay, they don't have to beat New England.
Now, that's what Pittsburgh thought as well, but I hear you. Like, that's what last Thursday night, everybody's like,
I know the Chiefs' offense is struggling, but it's not struggling as much as it's not Pittsburgh's offense, you know?
It's not.
Like, we still have to put it in some kind of perspective. That's just reality. Look, I don't think that unless they just beat all these teams by 25 the rest of the way or drop 30 points a game for the final 4 games, I seriously doubt I'll have a good idea of what this team will really do in the postseason. But if they start dropping games like against New England, then they're dead. This season's dead, and they've got real problems to solve in the offseason, and they'll go to the postseason, but they will risk their playoff spot. The division, if they lose to New England, I will open up the door of the division is actually at risk because, dear God, you're losing to New England now. They're one of the 3 worst teams in football.
Yeah, now the Broncos are going to play the Lions on Saturday night. So before the Chiefs play New England, there's a chance that they could be tied with the Broncos if the Broncos upset Detroit. But there's also a very good chance the Broncos lose to Detroit, and suddenly you're like, okay, and you win against New England, and you've got your breathing room again.
Yeah, which I think is probably more likely to be the case. It's just it's an excuse-free 4 games. Gold, we can figure out, hey, how'd you lose to Green Bay? Well, they were playing really good football at the time. They faced them. Jordan Love had a nice game, and you're playing inconsistent. Makes sense. They're a 500 team. 500 teams can get good teams all the time. All right, how do you lose to the Bills? Well, that's one of the most talented teams. We talked about how they're pretty much the Chiefs, but just have coached worse and have a worse record. Okay, cool. These 4, man, I mean, other than maybe Cincinnati, 4, I mean, it's 4 backup quarterbacks. Let's just be honest with it. Even the one like Aiden O'Connell, maybe he was going to be the starter at some point.
He was the backup to start the season.
4 backup quarterbacks, multiple games at home, and divisional games in which you have maintained an incredible record over a 5-year time period. You cannot have excuses in these next 4 games.
No, I mean, now if you make the same mistakes, though, still, let's be honest, as far as being close in one-possession games in the fourth quarter, if you continue to make the same mistakes and you're turning the ball over 4 times, or 5 times like they did against Denver, and you are making mental errors and not lining up properly and things like that, that's how all of a sudden we're sitting there on Sunday against a bad New England team, and it's 3 or 4 minutes to go, and it's a 4-point lead or something like that for Kansas. I mean, that's how that happens. Now, I think what has also happened when you reference the Bills and the Packers, before the Packers game, we had a discussion on the show about the rest and the time between games and how I think it was, I don't have the stat in front of me, but
they had the least amount of net rest for the remaining final
games.
6 weeks.
Yeah. And their opponents, like the Packers and then the Bills.
Including the Patriots got 3 extra days.
The Bills were coming off a bye. The Patriots played last Thursday. I think that is something to factor in a little bit of what has happened. Not to mention we always know the Chiefs are going to be the Super Bowl for the Green Bay Packers. Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love said this much after the game, basically. This was a game we circled. And then what happens to the Packers the next week? After their biggest win for a young
Deflate.
team, they go and lose to Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants. So,
DeVito tore 'em up,
so that
too.
stuff happens. Like for the Patriots, even if it's Belichick, like this is a game that going to their building, they know most people aren't giving them a chance to win. They will be up for that game against Kansas City, and that's the one thing that they always have to account for.
It is going to be depressing to finally, because it's nice being on the side of Chiefs are never dead, because it has been the easiest side to be right on. Gold, every year we come in here and we're like, hey, it's not over, don't worry about it, everything's fine, blah, blah, blah. It's true. They keep going to the AFC title game. And if they go to the AFC title game again this year, then imagine in the next 5 years trying to tell me they can't go to the AFC title game.
No, if this is
the worst year.
If this year's team gets an AFC title game or a Super Bowl, then it's like, why would you panic going forward? Honestly, why would you ever panic? And that's kind of where we were at even after last year, because some of the conversations were there. We all acknowledge this year's offense is way, way, way different and has serious flaws. But if they found a way to still end up in the same position they were last season in the playoffs, as in hosting an AFC title game or going on the road in this year's case, maybe, in an AFC title game, yes, you would almost have to laugh and be like, well, then why am I ever supposed to panic and freak out?
They'd be like, hey, they're 8-5. I'd be like, okay. I mean, it's a good reminder. I mean, this is about what their record was in the year they first won the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, they were struggling. They were not playing good football. They were up against it. And then they won their final 4 or 5 games, played great in the postseason, and boom, done. I mean, I know it just sounds kind of weird and crazy because you're like, is that plausible? But with the Chiefs team, you really don't have to do it. And I think a lot of this just goes back to the mediocrity of the AFC.
Yes.
But as bad as you have played, and the Chiefs have played not consistent, not clean, rough football for weeks and weeks and weeks, and for a good majority of this year, the next 4 teams, I don't even have to question how much better they are than them, other than talent on maybe Cincinnati's roster, who is starting a backup quarterback. And so I just feel like you got to get out of this thing and you got to feel really, really good about it. Meanwhile, because of the wide receivers, like many people, I saw Binkley had his mock draft out.
Yeah, yesterday. He filled in. So him and Christian Ocero put out their entire full first-round mock draft. They had 8 wide receivers going in their mock.
Ugh.
Record number.
So I thought about it, and look, let's be honest. No mock draft for the Chiefs. Maybe we know to do the mock draft sounder. No mock draft from now until the draft is not going to have the Chiefs taking a wide receiver in it. Not a single one. We'll fire up the mock draft sounder pretty soon. Not a single one. But they got to go a step further. They need to do their Julio Jones trade. I understand their limited draft assets this year, but dip into next year, go up and just get the guy. Do it. It worked for Atlanta. It helped push them towards a Super Bowl. Mahomes, because they have so many young, talented players from previous drafts, they can take a bit of a risk here in this upcoming one. And I'm ready. I am ready for the Julio Jones trade where you go up to 10 to get your guy. I mean, I know that leaves out Marvin Harrison
No, you're
Jr.
good. I'm laughing.
But go up. It's time. Like way up. Not like to 19.
You
to
were
like 10, 8.
You were ready 2 years ago, though.
I'm really ready now.
I swear, 2 years ago, because everybody always wants this wide receiver, and I get it. This year, obviously, it's a whole different conversation because of the lack of production period they're getting. But even 2 years ago, I think you wanted them to trade up to like 12 or whatever. So I'm not surprised. I hear you. I think there's limitations within that. Like, let's say this team is in an AFC title game and they're picking 28 to 32 again. From 28, can you get to 20? Or 17 with giving up multiple assets? Yeah, I don't think you can get from when you're picking 28. I really don't think you can get up much higher than 15, and that's a big stretch. The name that I told Bink yesterday that you'll hear me, that'll be like the wide receiver.
You're gonna bang the table for.
A couple years ago it was Chris Olave. This year, it's going to be a guy that some people are mocking like 12, so I don't think he's probably that realistic.
Okay, but that's the Julio Jones trade.
Right, but what I'm saying is if the Chiefs have the 25th pick, then I think they can. If they're picking 28 or 32, I don't believe they have the assets or should give up the assets required to get all the way to top 15. But Odunze of Washington is going to be the guy.
That's your guy?
He's a bigger version of Chris Olave, so that's going to be the player. Because, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., but that's going to be the number 3 overall pick.
That's too high, and I understand. I'm thinking because, normally I would say you'd have to get to like 6 or 7 to get one of the elite level wide receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a 2 or 3. You can't go up that high. It's not really realistic. But because of the quarterbacks who are going to go, can you get in the Malik Neighbors territory? I think people think he's just right there in that Adunze, they think he's like maybe 10 to 15, right? That's the kind of range you can be in. And honestly, I want, like, when the Chiefs have shown an aggression in the first round, I think when they've traded up, especially like with Trent McDuffie.
They nailed the McDuffie pick, obviously.
Yeah, and some of it just gives you the confidence to think, like, all right, they're going up. They feel like this is the wide receiver. And to me, it means they won't baby him either. If they take some guy at 32, there's a chance that we're going through another Rashee Rice season, which is fine, but it's like...
I'll take another Rashee Rice season from the wide receiver they draft next year.
Not from a playing
time
perspective.
He's going to have 900 and something yards.
Rashee Rice should have been the number one wide receiver from day one because he was the best wide receiver from day one. And I don't want to, at pick 30, have to like walk through and wait till week 13 to find out whether or not they can take the step forward. I want them to just kind of go up, put the guy in place and be like, we're starting him right now and he's our best wide receiver. And Rashee Rice is the 2 and Travis Kelce is still around. Because if they got a wide receiver like that, they instantly go from an offense that I have questioned all year to the best offense in football again. They went up and they got Adunze. They are immediately the best offense in football again.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation. I'm not sure about that, but basically, if we agree, the wide receivers are extremely deep coming out in the draft class. Like, it's a deep class. And Binks over here, who I
so
trust...
about the last wide receiver draft class, they couldn't trade up for the guy they wanted.
No. This is different this year, though. I trust Bink on this. If they think there's a historical number of wide receivers going in the first round because of how talented it is, and you're telling me there's 8 that are first-round worthy, I'm not against trading up. It's going to really, in large part, depend on where the Chiefs are drafted. But if you think it's a really deep class, as much as I would like Adunze, if you're picking 30, we'll just keep using 30 as an example. You get to 21, yeah, and I think you can get a pretty damn good. Like you don't. I don't know if you have to make there's only really 3 first-round caliber wide receivers. Experts that know way more about the draft class than I do consistently have been telling all of us that no. This class is different. Maybe there's not Jamar Chase outside of Marvin Harrison as far as a player like that, but there are multiple number 1 wide receivers that in any draft class would be first rounders, and there's going to be 7 or 8 of them taken. There's really only 2 first round talents, but teams are going to stretch and there'll be 5 taken because teams just need wide receivers. No, like 8 as in they're all first round worthy. That's what the experts are saying about this class. And if that's the case, then yeah, I'm not against trading up, but I don't know if they have to go up 15 spots.
Like if I go back through and I look at the board last year, I don't know how, like, what Jackson Smith and Jigba, they were never going up that high anyway. But then you were just down in that range where they were trying to trade up. And Addison would have been a good pick, and Zay Flowers would have been a good pick, but Quentin Johnson wouldn't have been. You feel better about Rashee? If you had to trade right now, you'd keep Rashee Rice and not go that route. The same as with Josh Downs, a player that got mentioned with the Chiefs all the time. You would obviously keep Rashee squeeze for me. Of like, if you go up to 10 and you're like, this is the second best wide receiver, and we absolutely think he's the second best wide receiver, and he's going to be catching pass from Mahomes for the next decade.
They're not trading up 20 spots. You're saying man. They're just not. I'm sorry. Like, they're just not trade up 20 spots, and nor should they.
The Falcons did that in the year that I'm talking about. That's specifically why I referenced that trade.
I get you.
They went from a team picking in the late 20s to a team picking 10.
Are we sure, though, that
you're not trading the assets required for a team that knows they have some big-time salaries still that are going to be on the table with cap hits and Mahomes? You still have to build it through youth and utilize multiple picks. If you told me they had to trade away 3 or 4 draft picks to move up 20 spots, absolutely not.
I mean, are we sure that? I mean, that might be what it takes to do it because
which is why I don't think they're going to do it.
Are other teams going to look at the Chiefs and say, yeah, sure, go ahead and come up and get Rome Odunze. Yeah, we'll be okay with it if you give us those picks. I think that's so. You're saying, Cody, you want a first round guy is great, but you want a surefire, potentially all pro. Which again, there is no such thing. But you want because I think there's 3 of those guys. It's Odunze, it's Malik Neighbors at LSU, and then it's Marvin Harrison Jr. The 3 quote unquote best that have the potential to be Jamar Chase all pro guys. More than A.D. Mitchell from Texas, who's really good, but not. You want to take the risk at a guy that has elite potential.
If you're not going up that high, if you're not taking one of those 3, then you might as well, like what Gold said, you might as well just stay at 30.
Why trade up 5 spots or something?
Whatever, and just stay where you are. Why even trade at 5? Like, no offense. If it's this deep, why the hell even trade at 5? Just take the next guy on the list and hope you get it right.
Well, if the guy that they had circled all along is there at 25, or a guy they didn't believe would be there at 25 and they have a trade partner, that's the other part we have to factor into this. Always takes two. We can mention trading up all we want. It takes another team willing. This is the issue they ran into reportedly this past year when they tried to trade up. The Cowboys were like, no, we know you're going to take the guy that we want, so we're not trading with you. And then earlier, if you looked at the partners, the Chargers weren't going to help you out in your own division. You know what I mean? So we don't even know the damn draft order yet, right? So this is very, very early conversation. I hear you. I mean, we know wide receiver, of course, has to be the number one priority. And yes, every mock is going to have them taking wide receivers, and understandably so. But a lot of it also will depend. What do they do in free agency? I mean, if they do go and get a T. Higgins type, then maybe
change.
There's a little, even though every fan is still going to say, no, go get another wide receiver. In their mind, they may say, well, we lost Chris Jones. Let's go make sure we get another defensive lineman.
In the last 2 years, they've spent a first-round pick on the defensive lineman. Not saying you can't keep going to the well, but you did Karlaftis and Felix and UDK. Well, it's worked out well for one and determined for the other. No, I meant defensive line specifically. And like undetermined for the other so far for Felix because he doesn't really play. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see them putting defensive, but it would only be if they signed a free agent wide receiver.
Absolutely.
That's the only way that they're going to do
I mean, we were talking about this with Bank yesterday. I mean, in their first that they go wide receiver and tight end as well. Let's not forget if there's a tight end that they like. I know we talk about Kelsey, but at some point it would be nice to have the next guy in line, even though Noah Gray's been great.
Are you going to mention Brock Bowers?
Well, Brock Bowers, again,
he's
not realistic.
Trade up that far,
it's just not realistic. We can bring up
that instead.
I just don't want to waste. I just don't want to waste my time with guys that aren't realistic. Now, if the Chiefs end up losing out and all of a sudden they have the 20th pick, okay, then we're a whole different conversation. But there's a very good chance that they're picking between 27 and 32. There's a very good chance that's where they end up. History would tell us 28 to 32.
Strong likelihood.
So like that's where it's tough. I hear. Do I want Brock Bowers? Of course. Marvin Harrison Jr. Odunze. Oh yes, but even if you're all like, hey, trade up, like they're not trading 4 draft picks to move up 22 spots. Like they're just not going, nor should they do that. As fun as that is, we can do it in Madden because there's no consequence. Sure, trade my entire draft. Go Ricky Williams trade. Screw it. Yeah, it's not happening.
It does happen occasionally in the NFL, and it happened one time with Julio Jones. I understand that it's not common or likely even that the Chiefs would make that kind of move, but you've got to get the guy to go with Mahomes so they're not having these conversations again next year and wondering what the offense is going to do.
All right, coming up next, though, something the NFL says they're going to look into, and I am so happy they're finally going to do that. Plus, we'll talk to our guy, Dane Hughes, next.
Cody and Gold.
Last and probably most important question, are, in fact, all opinions like buttholes?
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
As football weather creeps in, the offers for the NFL continue to stay hot with FanDuel. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 winning money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining America's #1 sportsbook app, then there's no better time to get in on the action than with FanDuel. The app is super easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. You can even take some future bets like NFL MVP and also who's going to make the playoffs. All you need to do is visit FanDuel.com/CNOT to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL and also 610 Sports Radio. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus specs that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Can you help is your best bet? Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Get the home field advantage every time with Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. Whether you're a student athlete working toward your championship dreams or your team's biggest fan, Fairfield by Marriott has everything you need to get ready for game day. From comfortable guest rooms to complimentary hot breakfast, Fairfield is part of the Marriott Bonvoy portfolio of hotels and official hotel partner of the NCAA. Visit fairfield.marriott.com to book your next game day stay.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
If you have unfiled taxes or other aggressive IRS actions, make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Denise has been playing jazz for 40 years. Last concert, one of the musicians fell sick with RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory tract disease caused by respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in adults 60 years of age and older. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Vaccine Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This holiday season, spread the joy to family and friends by filling your hopper with Kingsford Hardwood Pellets. Kingsford Hardwood Pellets delivers excellent performance in any pellet grill and adds an authentic wood-fired flavor to your holiday meals. From favorites like prime rib to mac and cheese, your family will crown you grilling royalty. Trust Kingsford, America's grilling expert with over 100 years of expertise in flavor and quality. Make Kingsford Hardwood Pellets your grilling holiday go-to. Visit Kingsford.com.
Wendy's Peppermint Frosty and Frosty Cream Cold Brew make the perfect gift for anyone in your life. Especially for you. Yeah, this year you're sitting on your own lap and getting yourself what you want. Finally. And if you need a little more pep in your step, get yourself a refreshing Peppermint Frosty Cream Cold Brew. Or you can give it to your mom. Whatever.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Vanilla Frosty is temporarily unavailable.
No matter where you are, 610 Sports Radio is one click away on the free Odyssey app. Listen to all our shows live and on demand, and catch live play-by-play for the Royals and Kansas State Athletics. The biggest names in KC sports all live right here.
Right now, we're talking to the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes.
Your home for Royals baseball and your official broadcast partners of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio on the free Odyssey app. AUDACY. Download it today.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought.
Abandoned on the streets. Give these homeless animals a second chance. Make miracles happen. Donate today, and your gift will be matched. Visit waysidewaves.org.
Coming up in 10 minutes, our guy Danon Hughes, former Chiefs wide receiver, part of the Chiefs radio network, going to join us. We'll get his thoughts on the wide receivers heading into a matchup against a Bill Belichick coach defense and the final 4 games and the path for the Chiefs to find a way to be one of the top 2 seeds still in the AFC. So that's coming up in just a little bit. I did see during the break that New York Post put out an article. The first In-N-Out burger in Idaho, in a suburb of Boise. Whataburger opened up here. I don't know if it was 8 hours or not, but the first Whataburger or 2 in the area, like they just opened a new one by me, and that one didn't have a crazy line because there's enough of them in the area now where it's not quite as big of a deal. But people were waiting in line for those. When the first Chick-fil-A's open up, people wait in line to get Chick-fil-A for a year. I just don't. 8 hours though. What do you just take off of? People not working? You just take off of work the entire day?
I was late for work for a blimp ride once, so I'm guessing people have taken off of work to wait for In-N-Out. Yeah.
But 8 hours, like even when I just happened to stumble across the free wings for a year thing at Buffalo Wild Wings in the summer, I happened to be off that day. I waited like 35 minutes or 40 minutes.
You probably used to wait
8 hours
in line for hours to like get the new Madden or Call of Duty or whatever. You said you used to wait out at midnight.
Yeah, I camped out for Halo 2 at Oak Park Mall back in the day, and that was like 2 or 3 hours, Cody. 8 hours, and you have to understand.
It's a burger, man. It's a fast
exactly.
food burger.
That burger that in 4 days for the rest of your life. It'll
Although,
be
in
there.
fairness, I would make that same argument about Halo 2, but also you were a teenager and
I wanted to play that game that night. That's
well, they want to eat that burger now.
But that's a food. It's a consumable.
Video games are consumable.
Yeah, video game is I could play for the entire night. The burger I eat it and I'm done.
Yeah, I guess.
In 5 minutes it's done. It's a 10-minute thing. And
run
Halo
it
provided
right then,
you hours of entertainment. The burger provides you minutes of joy, I guess.
If it's even good.
Yeah. I'll be honest. In-N-Out used to be a big fan. It's one of those things where when you don't have it, it's better. I'll be like, when I had to go to Oklahoma or Texas for Whataburger, it was better. Now that I have one 5 minutes from me, I go once every 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, they're all
Same
fast food burgers. You all need to relax.
If In-N-Out ever opened in Kansas City, it'd be nuts at first, and then we'd all be like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Someone said Cody took off yesterday for Taylor Swift's birthday. What's the difference? That was an
You
honor.
did. You did take off for her birthday.
They didn't take it to honor In-N-Out. They just wanted to eat it. It's different.
Someone says, is In-N-Out better than Whataburger? I don't like their fries at In-N-Out. I'm not a big fan of the fries at In-N-Out. And people get the animal style. I don't like the mayo sauce combination they use.
I prefer Whataburger to In-N-Out, but I'll be honest with you, they're all kind of about the same. Okay, there's not a dramatic quality difference between In-N-Out.
They each have a different taste, man. It's a different taste.
Sonic. It's a preference, not a quality improvement difference.
I will say places like In-N-Out and Whataburger, the food usually, while it's this, you say quality, usually less likely that I'm getting soggy fries and you can tell it's been sitting out a while at places like Whataburger and In-N-Out and Freddy's.
That's probably
agreed.
Fair.
Right, that's the difference. That's where I'll push back on the quality part.
I think maybe
I go to McDonald's. When their fries are hot and fresh, there's nothing better. But we've all gone when it's a little bit later at night, and then you get the soggy fries, and you're just like, oh, great.
Oh, for sure.
It's
a problem. There's no argument there.
We've all been there. Anyway, let's talk about something before Dayton joins us. I'm happy to hear that the NFL is considering something. So the NFL had their meetings yesterday. They announced, the Super Bowl sites. They announced that they're going to play a game in Sao Paulo, Brazil next year. But NFL executive Troy Vincent says at the league meeting, they're looking at plays where the player fumbles through the end zone. We all know this has been a highly discussed play. It actually benefited Kansas City in the playoffs against Cleveland, if we remember right.
Did.
Dan Sorensen came with a big hit, fumble through the. So I'm not saying it hasn't ever benefited Kansas City. I hate the rule. I just think it's insane that you're at the one, you're running, you're at the one, you fumble it, and it fumbles through the end zone, and the other team gets the ball at the 20-yard line. Two things can happen. A, you retain possession, move them yourself back to the 20. Or if you're going to say, hey, change of possession, then the other team that got the ball, they should get the ball at the 1. They should have to be backed up at their 1. One of the two. Don't give them the ball at the 20. So those are my two suggestions. Either you say that the team that did fumble it through the back of the end zone, move them back to the 25. Okay. Or if you're like, no, there needs to be consequences for fumbling the ball. Okay, I don't agree, but I'll hear you. Then that team that gets the ball, you fumbled it where? At the 1. Give them the ball at the 1-yard line. They're backed up.
So the one thing I kind of understand about this rule a little bit is you should view points as something that are sacred, that you have to earn.
Sure.
And so if there's no punishment for giving the ball away in the single most important area of the field, well, that feels silly. Because I've seen some people just be like, well, just give it back wherever wherever they fumbled. They fumbled at the 2 and it goes to the back of the end zone, you get it at the 2. I'm like, that's crazy. No, you do not get to retain
the
possession.
Offense doesn't get at the 2. I'm saying the defender, the defense that forced the fumble, if you will, through the back of the end zone. If you're saying no, they should get the ball. Yeah, but they get the ball at the 2.
It's a little weird that this is the only the reason why I would be fine with changing it, and I'm fine that they're taking a look at it. Is this is the only part of the field that if you fumble the ball and the defensive team doesn't recover, that they then get the ball, and you're like, well, that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
I mean, if I fumbled at the 25-yard line and it goes out at the 30, I still keep the football.
Correct.
I might be screwed if I fumble the ball backwards, and I might lose some field position or those things. But, if you take them back to the 20, I think it's fair. You fumble on 3rd and goal, you fumble it out, and all of a sudden you got to score from the 20. Well, sucks to be you. Harder field goal, everything else is in play. You have to be punished. I won't agree to any rule that isn't there's a severe punishment for fumbling down at the goal line.
Yeah, someone says just don't fumble by the end zone. Obviously, but even the NFL has acknowledged it's a terrible rule. That's why they're looking at it. This isn't just like a small minority of people that think it's crazy. This has been a gripe for a very long time for a lot of football fans, and the league is going to look at it. It would not surprise me if they do some change. There's definitely going to have to be some particular rule with it. Someone says, what if it was 4th down? You get the ball back. No, I think that's the exception, right? If you fumbled on fourth down, then it is a turnover on downs. But again, if you're giving the opponent the ball, why do they get it at the 25? That seems crazy to me. Make them have the ball at the 1-yard line. I don't know why the opponent also, not only you fumble it through the end zone, they get the ball, and then we're going to give them also the ball at the 25?
Yeah.
No, it back up at the 1.
It's a massive benefit. If you can make someone fumble near the goal line and it goes into the end zone, there is a huge benefit in it.
Some says there should be a reward for knocking the ball loose. I hear you, which is why, again, I'm suggesting
back to the 20.
It go well,
or you get the ball, but you get it at the 1.
Correct. But why should the defense get both? Now, look, this is one of those, if we had Sean Barber in here, he would say, give the ball to defense, and Dana Hughes is going to join us, and he probably will favor the offensive ruling on this. I don't know.
I just don't think you should lose.
Well, ask him. He's on hold right now.
In any other fumble, there's a 50-50 shot at your loss of possession. In this case, it's a 100%. Like, you just don't get it. One way or the other, right? Depending on how you change the rule, it's one way or the other. This is the way it goes. I just think the most logical thing is to back them out to the 20.
Yeah, I want to get Danon's perspective on this, because I think he could provide some insight as a former NFL player on what he has to say about this potential rule change. As Danon Hughes, former Chiefs wide receiver. Of course, you hear him on the Chiefs radio network this Sunday, 9 a.m. pregame show. It's a rare noon kickoff in Foxborough. Danon, thanks for coming on, man. We were just picking up a conversation about the NFL yesterday at their meeting, saying that they're going to at least take a look at the play where, right, the player fumbles through the end zone, and then right now it goes to the opponent at the 25-yard line, and there's a lot of people think it's a terrible rule. Where are you at? You're an offensive guy. What do you think they should do? Because we were discussing that if you're an offensive player and you fumble it through the end zone, you keep the ball, but maybe you move them back to the 25, or if you're going to change possession, why does the defense get the ball at the 25? They should have to start at the 1-yard line.
Yeah, I initially thought that you guys were going to ask